So I've been unemployed for about a year and a couple months now, and I decided to just make the decision and just give up as far as applying to jobs. For context, I've been applying to jobs about 100 a day, just to give a ballpark estimate there, and I don't get any callbacks, right? And I want to.
Let me just stop. Usually I let the video play a little bit longer, but if somebody is applying to over 100 jobs a day, I look at that as impossible, that you're not really applying yourself, or maybe you need coaching because it's not you. It may not even be your resume, but it may be the fact that you're not being mindful of the jobs that you're applying to. If you are mass applying, which a lot of these people are doing, and this is what I'm starting to discover, is that people are mass applying. They're just hitting the button and sending off 1,000 resumes or 100 resumes, or they swiping left or right like it's an app, like it's a dating app or something. And you're not actually tailoring your resume, and you're applying certain skill sets within your personality or within your experience to the job and what they are asking for. And the job descriptions are there for a reason. It's not about whether or not you got this experience or you got that experience. Is the experience applicable to the position that you're applying to? So when I see people say that they are mass applying, I see why a lot of y'all can't find jobs. People that are very detail oriented, they're not having a problem. People that are saying that they're applying to over 100 jobs a day, or I've applied to over 2,000 jobs, at max, I think that you should probably only be applying to at least five, maybe four a day if you're looking at it from a full-time perspective. You should be tailoring your cover sheet. You should be tailoring your resume. It should be applicable to the different jobs that you're applying to. And I don't see why people don't understand that and is not getting this.
Say I'm a marketable person. I have a bachelor's, a master's. I have military experience. I have almost 15 years of solid working experience in supply chain and logistics. Like, that's my background, right? And I'm not having any luck. No callbacks. And the callbacks that I do get, I interview like maybe 2 or 3 times, and yeah, I always get the same email, right? Like, they're moving forward with somebody else, or they either are not moving forward with the position, or I get just completely ghosted, right? And
y'all also need to learn how to follow up, do the research of the company. Like, even tailoring your resume for that job needs to be specific based off of the culture of the company, right? You need to be following up sometimes with phone calls once you do get a response, or if you get an interview. There's ways, and there's ways that you need to go about doing this. But when I see people that, just ready to give up, or they're not actually, what's so funny about it? Me hearing you say this also shows me how serious you are about the position that you're applying for. You might get a call and don't even know what the heck you applied for. Y'all should have whole spreadsheets of what you applied for, what the position is, what the requirement is, when you sent it. Like, you need to be very, very vigilant in how you go about doing things. I'm gonna talk about this on the Millionaire Morning Show today.
I've tried the networking thing. I've tried working with my cousin for this particular one job. That's like a crazy remote job that takes you all over the Midwest. Because I'm even been applying to jobs outside of Texas here, and I interviewed 3 times, and they completely ghosted me. And I'm going on a year now. I basically already lost everything. I already have my 2 vehicles repossessed. I already have a lot of my debts in collections, and my house is about to foreclose here. And even if I were to get a job, like, being able to get on my feet, that's gonna be rough. And I know some people are probably gonna say, well, do the bankruptcy. Do the bankruptcy. I filed for bankruptcy about 2 years ago when I had a solid job, because I made a bunch of mistakes in my 20s with my credit. And it's like, I finally got a solid job that pays me 6 figures. And I was like, well, you know what? Let me file for bankruptcy and clean my shit up. And which I did, and at first it worked out great. But what I didn't foresee was losing my job. And because I lost my job, I was back to square one. Not even back to square one. I dug myself in a deeper hole than I initially was, right?
How? I don't understand it. So you messed up in your 20s. You finally got a decent job. You was making over 6 figures. it sounded like that was a time that you should have been banking and saving and stacking and I don't know, man. Let me hear the rest of this story.
So in order for me to file for bankruptcy again, I gotta wait a couple more years to do that. But here's the thing, like, I saw a video of a guy that was unemployed for far longer than I was, and he was a hell of a lot more marketable than I was. He had better education, went to better schools, had a better work history when it comes to the tech industry that he was involved in, so way better paying jobs than I could ever ask for, right? And it took him about 2 years, maybe 3 years to get a job. And when he finally landed one, he was at a point where he already lost everything, just like me. And he was ecstatic because, his pay was great. He was going to get back on his feet and, just recover from it all. But not even 2-3 months into the job, he ends up getting laid off with a bunch of others of his colleagues. And he's back to square one. I'm not sure if he ended up finding a job after that, but I think that's a reality for a lot of people where you can't even, like, companies are not even loyal to the employees anymore that they hire. If you're not hitting the mark, if you're not in the green, or if you're costing the company money for stuff that they, can facilitate doing without them breaking the bank, they're gonna cut ties with you, man.
That's called business. If you are in the red or you're not adding value into the company, but it's costing us more to have you than the value that you add, then that means that you're not doing a good job.
So they're not loyal to people anymore in general. You can't even make like financial moves like my dad was able to do, right? My dad bought a home as soon as he got a job, didn't even know if the job was gonna treat him bad, didn't even know if the job was gonna lay him off. No, like, he knew the moment he signed and started that job, he knew that it was solid, and he right away walked in and bought a home. Like, you can't even do that nowadays. You can't even buy a car nowadays after you get a job because you're skeptical. You don't know, like, oh shit, what if they lay me off? Like, I cannot rely on sustaining myself.
And that means that you have to buy the car used, and you don't have to get a new car if you get a good job. You can still stay down and stay focused. That's what I did. I drove my car till I had over 300,000 miles. I bought it at an auction, and then I went and bought another used car, and I was already doing really, really well.
My family with this job, because the way the market is right now, they're getting rid of everybody. Like, I believe Amazon is going to be cutting like 30,000 jobs. Can you imagine those people making that much money just getting cut off like that? I mean, they probably saved a ton, don't get me wrong, but there's people that haven't. There's people that, were getting paid that much and we're probably still struggling to get by. That's the reality for a lot of Americans. But yeah, I'm at a point where I kind of just giving it up on it all, the whole job pursuit and everything like that. But I'm grateful for a couple of things when it comes through this whole unemployment phase that I've been dealing with. And one of them is my mental health. I feel like, my mental health has substantially gotten better now that I have my own free time, and I'm not dealing with people at work. I'm not dealing with stressful bosses. My mental health is gotten so much better. I've gotten in a lot better shape. I lost a lot of weight. I feel a lot healthier. For one, I was borderline diabetic working at that previous job, but now, like, I'm probably in the best shape of my life that I've been in compared to my 20s. Another thing is how I realize how less I need in order to get by. Like, beforehand, when I was making that decent amount of money, I was buying shit that I didn't need. I was buying stuff that was not beneficial for me and my family. I just thought it was cool, and I was just splurging on shit when I didn't really need it. And now,
see, this is what I'm saying. If you let people talk long enough, they'll tell you it. Because, see, I know it's a lot of people in the comments that'll go back and forth with me and say, oh, no, it's just the economy. No, there are some life choices that go along with that. When you had money, what did you do with it? He just admitted it. He had just came from bankruptcy. Like, he filed for bankruptcy once he got his good job, absolved himself of all of his debt, and then he went out and did all of the same shit. And that's why he said that he's in a worse position than he was before he got the good job. It's impossible for you to tell me that a person is supposed to be in a worse position if they're doing something right, or if they're doing the best thing once they start to get the money. He didn't learn a lesson, but now he's learning a lesson, because this is when he's saying, hey, listen, now I think that I'm going to do it the right way, because I'm learning how to get by on less and do things the right way. I don't know how he's surviving and how he's been able to be laid off for this long, I would be doing odd jobs, hustling, doing whatever it is I got to do, starting my own business, whatever I got to do to make some money, stocking shelves overnight, whatever it is, until I got the position that I actually wanted. But people will tell you how they utilize their money if you let them talk long enough.
I look at stuff and I don't need that. I don't need this. So I kind of started to realize how little I actually need to get by and how enjoyable life really is with just the stuff that I need. And another big thing is the vehicles, right? Like, most of the time you get a well-paying job and you want to get yourself a nice car, a nice truck. But then after you drive it for a few months, you're like, why am I indebted to this, this moving cart that takes me from point A to point B, maybe a couple of Starbucks drive-thrus here and there, and I'm paying $1,000 a month for it, maybe more. And then you include the insurance on it, you include the gas, you include maintenance on it. You're stuck in this cycle with a vehicle that you no longer enjoy because the passion, the love for it went away after a few months. You get tired of, it's kind of like when you get a new phone, you're like, oh, this is great, I love it, and then you just get bored of it, right? The same thing with a vehicle. Like, now I'm just glad if I'm able to get a vehicle that, it's used. I don't care if it's got 100,000 miles. I pay cash for it. I will no longer ever put myself in a situation where I have to be indebted into a vehicle loan. Like right now, this vehicle is my mom's vehicle. I'm using it to drive Uber. That's what I've been doing to make income on the side is Uber. And honestly, I like it. It's actually helped me a lot with my social skills and talk to people, because I was very, very closed off. I don't have a lot of conversation with people. I'm terrible at small talks, and that set me back a lot in my career and what I wanted to do. But Uber's actually helped me out a lot to talk to people, talk to strangers, and get to know them and stuff like that. And I set my own hours, and yeah, it's not great money, right? You're not going to be able to sustain yourself in the long run with this. But I think if something's out there for me that's going to get me back on my feet and I'm going to recover from all this, it's eventually going to happen, right? But the days of applying to 100+ jobs a day and just not getting anything, I'm done with that. I'm done wasting my time with that. I'm done revisiting my resume over and over again for different jobs. I'm done doing fucking tests.
See? People don't want to do the hard work. People don't want to do the diligent work. People don't want to be very, very careful with how they do things, and then be, and be consistent with it. And consistency is the thing that gets you the position that you really want. But they'll spend all day long making pennies instead of crafting and being careful about how it is that they're curating their resume so that they can get the position that they want. He's figuring it out. He'll learn. Make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley. 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.